Yo, good afternoon, beautiful people. Today, we're meal prepping. My name's Seat Eyebrows, and this is the first time I've actually done one of these videos before, so if it seems a little bit off, give me some leniency. I appreciate it. Right, first up, we need our ingredients, all of which I actually got later on today. Chicken breast, lean ground beef, 1 kilo in total. Now, there's so many different ways to cook food, especially when it comes to beef and chicken. But honestly, I am a very simplistic person. As long as it's nice, tastes decent, and doesn't look fucking appalling, that's good with me. So for our chicken breasts, we're going to be lining this oven tray with baking paper, and then I'm just going to slide chicken breasts in there, lightly season them with salt and a few other things, and throw them in the oven until they are fully cooked. That seems about right. And as I mentioned to you guys, this is one of the first like long form videos where it's literally just me talking my shit, doing my thing, and I'm like not really used to it. Sure, if you go onto my page, you've seen me do some long form pieces of content, but nothing as long as this, because I am looking forward to making content full time, especially when it comes to short form. But I understand, long form, it's important. People want to see what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. They want to see your personality over a long time frame. So long form is just one of those ways to do it. And honestly, watching other influencers do their thing all on YouTube, it's really cool. And if I'm able to actually do that in the future, I think it's best to make a start now, because I'd rather start now than later. Now for most of my meal prep, I'm keeping it bare simple. So what that looks like is my source of protein. I'll also get a source of carb. Right now that's just going to be rice, A, because it's cheap, and then B, just because it's convenient, nice, quick and easy. And then I will also be scattering a bunch of fruits and other more macronutrient items throughout my meals. But we're keeping things simple, long story short. Like with chicken, the most I'm doing is a little bit of garlic salt, which is what we've got here. And then I'm also going to sprinkle in a little bit of normal salt. I know, exciting. Oh, that is way too much. Holy shiza. Don't know if you guys can see that. I may have gone a bit overboard with the chicken. Just slightly. But I'm hoping it's not going to taste like too bad. Like, I'll try spread it. Again, I don't really know if this is going to work too well. But it's an honest effort, to be fair. Right, since we've got this one done, we're going to start preheating our oven. Right, with our ground beef, we're keeping it bare simple as well. So what we'll do is get a frying pan. Voila. I don't know if you picked it up, but I'm a big multitasker. Sure, it's not the best for productivity when it comes to condensing down a task, but if I'm able to multitask, then I definitely will. And what that looks like for me is A, getting to know you, my audience, you could say, and just enjoying cooking good food, because I do like eating clean. And yes, on the occasion, I do have a sweet tooth. I might have a treat on the occasion, sure. But most of the time, it's looking like clean food, nice and simple, and that's just how I like to keep it. But back to my point, getting to know me, what my life is looking like at the moment. As some of you know, especially from my short form content, I recently came over from New Zealand all the way to Melbourne by myself, purely just to explore and to familiarise myself with Australia as a whole, because I think it's one of the countries where it's going to be really good to be living in the future. One of the countries where I see myself spending a lot more time. Sure, there's places like Thailand, like Bali, Sweden as well. For those that don't know, I'm half Swedish, so I kind of have like a residency / passport over there. So that's an option. But I do see myself spending a lot more time in Australia, hence why I came over here. Now, there was also a reason for me coming over here, which was there's no like ties or no reason for me to actually stay here or even be here in the first place. It's purely just to explore, throw myself out there, become a new version of myself. Because if I stay in the exact same environment, the environment being at home, back in New Zealand, at Mount Maunganui, a city and a town where I'd been living for the past 19 or so years, not consistently of course I traveled, but overall I stayed in that one location for a very prolonged period of time. Thing is, when you're in that one location, that one environment, you familiarize yourself a lot with everything that's going on, where everything is, and there's nothing new, there's not much change happening. Sure, you can grow, but overall it becomes very stale, very boring, very sedentary, some might say. So my mindset when it came to actually leaving New Zealand was purely, I feel like I've accomplished a lot in this one small location. I feel like everyone knows who I am. My content has really gotten out there. Everyone knows my journey. They know what I want to do. Let me challenge myself even more. Go to a new country. And for those that don't know, Melbourne's population, Melbourne as a city, it is bigger than New Zealand as a whole. New Zealand, I believe it's 5.2 million in New Zealand, 5.3 in Melbourne as a city. It's bigger than New Zealand. Like, there's going to be bigger challenges, bigger opportunities, bigger things to worry about, bigger fears, bigger risks, etc. in a bigger city just because there's more people. It's just kind of how it works. And that was my mindset for coming over here. I just want to throw myself in the fire, explore, and eventually I'll grow into the person I want to become, the person that can actually live in a bigger city, a larger town, a place where there's going to be more challenges, more opportunities, more people to meet, more people to see. Like, I'm going to grow into that person, or I'm going to fail and I'll have to come back to New Zealand. Those are really my only two options. So either grow or die, basically. Obviously I'm not going to die, but still. And this is the first time I've ever lived in a different country by myself. Sure, as some of you know, especially if you've been following me for the early days, I'm talking 1st of January this year, so 2025. I went to Thailand by myself for other reasons that I don't need to specify exactly, but I was in Thailand by myself for 3 weeks, purely just training, getting ready for an MMA fight, which I had later on that year. But I basically lived by myself, but it wasn't hard, I didn't need to work. All I really did was fight, train, explore, and make content. Those were my 4 to 3 main pillars of how I spent my time while I was over there. And I felt I grew so much as a person when I was over there. So when I came home, I was like, okay, I need to keep growing, growth, momentum, etc. I just need to keep building and making sure that I do become the person that I want to become. But how do I do that? So after exploring, trying a bunch of new things, I realized I just needed to go to a new place, a new city, a new country by myself, live there for a bit, and let it just grow me as a person. So here we are with my plain mint, about to put garlic salt because I am quite the chef. If I can bloody get this open, there we go. And we're just enjoying life, thriving, making progress. And my days at the moment are very, very boring to most anyway. Like, I'll get up around 6 or between 6:30 to 5:45, depending what the time is. Then I'll get up straight away, electrolytes, liter of water, work for 3 to 4 hours in the morning, and then I'll get up, then I'll get out of my room, breakfast, pre-workout, edit any pieces of content that I need to do on the tram while I go to the gym, train, come back here, shower, get a few more essential things done. And if I'm working, because mind you, I'm not a full-time content creator, this is why I'm shooting this video, so I can eventually become one, but I'm not one yet. So I'm still working at a job, and typically that might start at later on in the afternoon or whatever, but outside of my job, literally all I'm doing is training in the gym, running, doing MMA, doing sales calls, meeting new people, onboarding new people onto my program, which has been awesome to see. Like, there's so many of you guys who are motivated, you're actually putting in the effort. I'm seeing everything when it comes to training programs, like, you're sticking to it. And if you're someone that I'm training with at the moment, just know, I know you're putting in the hard reps, even if there are days where you might go a little bit off, and those are the days where I might not be able to be in full contact with you all the time. I know for a fact you always keep turning up, because when I do my weekly catch-up calls, you guys are doing so well. Sure, there's always room for improvement. That's room for improvement for me, that's room for improvement for you. But every single day, people are turning up and then making sure that they actually win. And that's why I like coaching so much, because I see others win. That motivates me to more so win as well. And it's just like a continuous cycle. I talk to more people, I start working with them, they start winning, I'm already winning, I feel like I'm winning even more, and then that empowers them to win even more. So it's just a continuous catalyst into becoming the best version of ourselves, whether that be for me or you. We're always winning, basically. Right, back to the food. This oven is nearly ready for me to put the chicken in. Not ready quite yet, so I'll give it another second or two. One of my roommates left rice in the rice cooker, and a lot of it. I don't know how long it's been there for, so it's going straight in the bin. And it's one of those interesting things as well, like living with other people. You learn how other people operate, you learn how they want to be, how they operate in day-to-day life, because some people, they have completely different living standards to me. Took me a minute to realize that, and it's just something you need to work with, especially if you want to progress in life. Other people, they're not going to be at your standards. Sometimes they're much higher, sometimes they're below, and you just have to deal with that, because you're always going to come across those kinds of people who are different than you when it comes to their training style or their living situations or how they treat people. You're always going to come across those kinds of people, and it just comes down to you as a person. How mature are you? Are you going to be able to deal with it? How are you going to deal with it? And then eventually you'll sort your shit out. Right, and with that being said, I believe our chicken is ready to go. So we'll slide this one here in the oven for, I'm going to give it maybe like half an hour. I will check in on it. I will check in, get it? Check in on it. Dad jokes, I'm sorry. Right, so first off, I am actually starting to go into a more cutting / maintaining phase. I'm going to be eating around 2,400 calories. I know my body and my output is around 2,700 to 2,500-ish, depending on the day. And while I've been at work, I work at a restaurant, mind you, so there's always going to be nice foods around, little foods that I can snack and pick on, which I have been doing for the past month. But I've decided I just want to more so dial down, get a little bit leaner, just for the summer. We're going to be focusing a lot more on portioning, especially over the next few weeks. Sure, not everything's going to be perfect. And a lot of you guys, especially when it comes to my Instagram stories or just talking to you guys over the DMs, whatever it may be, dieting and eating healthy just seems to be one of the biggest issues in the world. Like, I get that. It's hard. Don't get me wrong. When you first start out, you don't really know what you're doing. It can be one of the most difficult things in the world to do. Honestly, you don't know what you're doing. There's so many different things like protein, fats, calories, whatever. And when it comes down to it, it's just a whole new concept. It's like learning math for the first time. Like, you don't know what the fuck a quadratic formula is, like a squared plus b squared equals c squared. You don't know what that is. And it just comes down to you having to learn and make do. Or you get a teacher who eventually showcases and builds you up into learning the algebraic formula of fuck knows or whatever. The thing is, you start off very, very simple, and then you eventually work your way up into doing more complex formulas, into learning quadratic formulas and how to actually implement them in day-to-day life. Now, I believe the same thing goes for health and fitness, and especially when I'm talking to people I might potentially work with. If they're in a position where they've never done any kind of nutrition or any kind of tracking or calories or macros or whatever, if they're never in a position or have never been in a position to do any of those kinds of things, I'm not one to just throw a meal plan at them and expect them to be able to stick to everything. Let's just say that's not a smart way to do it, because I tried doing that one time. Guess what happened? I fucking failed. So honestly, it's up to me to ensure that every single person I work with has learnt from the failures that I've had. And in this current situation, that looks like me giving them guidelines on what to have and what to not eat, what to avoid, and just simple frameworks they can follow so they can eventually build themselves up to maybe potentially having a meal plan. But for the time being, it's just eat more protein, eat more carbs, and eat this amount of this, whatever it may be. Just really, really, really simple portioning guidelines. And then eventually they'll build themselves up. They'll learn how to actually calculate their macros. I'll showcase that to them, sure, but they just slowly make progression, and then when it comes to nutrition, and not completely fucking themselves over. Right, so as I mentioned, we are getting into a cutting phase. And for me, that quite literally just looks like having what I'm currently having, but cutting out a few of the excess things. So an example of this, perfect example, I might be having beef, rice, and an avocado. I might be having those three things. And I might be having 200 grams of beef, 200 grams of rice, and then one whole avocado. What I could do instead would be 200 grams of beef. Instead of 200 grams of rice, I'll cut it down to 150. And instead of a whole avocado, I'll cut it down to half. Really, really simple. I'm just cutting down the portions of the food I'm consuming to keep it nice and simple for you guys. 1 cup. If you're wondering why I have such a big bag, this is literally the hack when it comes to budgeting, because I don't need to bother spending $1 on a bag of rice where I can spend $8 and get a whole 20 bags worth. Perfect. That is 1 cup done and dusted. If you're wondering why I'm being so meticulous with pouring the rice, I had a really bad experience the last time. Pretty much I was pouring it like normal, not angling down, leaning over and staring at it as if I'm about to kiss my cup of rice. I was just doing my own thing, pouring it like this, and guess what happened? The bag dropped. The bag with minuscule pieces of food that went absolutely everywhere. I don't want to relive that moment, so if I need to be a little bit more meticulous, pay a little bit more attention to what's happening with how I'm pouring food, then so be it, because I don't want to relive that 25 minutes of having to clean up that rice. Because again, that was a headache. A headache that I personally do not want to relive. One big thing for me since I came over here was my social circle. So you can understand, I go from one country where I've got my friends that I've known for years. I've got guys that I've trained with every single day for the past 3 years. Like, there's a lot of people there who I've got a connection with. And when you go to a new country, when you go to a new city, a city where you don't actually know anyone, you're the only person you know, you, yourself, and you are quite literally your best friend when it comes to this new city, you have to go make new friends. And me being me, I spend a lot of my time just doing boring shit. Shit that most people see as boring, and it's just not very appealing. It's not a lifestyle a lot of people want to be a part of, which I understand. You want to live your life, and it really just comes down to priorities, and me having my own priorities, which is making sure my nutrition's right, training hard, building my business. It can get a little bit boring, I will be honest. Now with my friend group back home, that wasn't a big deal. They understood that, they knew what I needed to do, and I was content with that. Plus I had my family, my mum, my dad, they were all around me, so I got to talk and socialize with people on the regular. Whereas now, the only talking and socializing I really do is when I'm at work. When I'm talking to customers, that's one of the main forms of being social that I get when it comes to face-to-face interactions. Sure, I have like my coaching calls and such, which is cool, but it's not face-to-face, if you get what I mean. And sometimes that can be not hard, but it gives you a whole new perspective on like how great, or gave me a whole new perspective on how grateful I was to have those day-to-day interactions. Because back home in New Zealand, I was pretty much taking it for granted. I just did not really care that much about it. And as soon as I don't have it, I can't remember what that song is. You only hate the road when you're missing home. You only miss the sun when it starts to snow. You only know you love her when you let her go. Same situation for me. I only missed the fact about talking to people on a regular basis until I didn't have it anymore. I had to be of an abundance of having it until I eventually got it, if that makes sense. So me being here, new country, new city, with not my old friends again, it really gave me perspective, and now I'm extremely grateful when I get to have interactions with people on a regular basis. When I have conversations with them, it's just so much nicer because I really, really appreciate it. Because there was a time when I first got here where I didn't have that. And again, when you don't have something, it leaves a gap, and in that gap, you realize you really, really were taking for granted that thing that's been gone now. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm being philosophical on this page. I don't know why. So, I just need to double check on the chicken. I'm pretty sure it should be cooked, but again, I don't want to get salmonella, so I just need to double check. As you can see, it's like not the worst, but there's a little tinge of pink. Just a really tiny one. And I don't know about you, I don't want to risk it. I have had salmonella before, and trust me, it's not the nicest experience, so we're going to chuck this one back in for a bit. Let's do this. And so far, it looks good. You might be thinking, it's just rice, right? You can't mess it up. Why are you so happy that it looks good? Trust me, I've messed rice up as well. Because there was a time when young Tiarai, he would attempt to make something, and guess what goes off first? No, not his taste buds, but the fire alarm. The fire alarm just went off every single damn time, just because he didn't know what was hotter, 0 degrees Celsius or 2000. I know I'm being hyperbolic there, but you get what I mean. He just had no clue. Just a random side thought as well. Some people, when it comes to rice, they always say, always pick brown rice. Brown rice is superior. It has more fiber, it's overall more healthy for you, blah, 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 blah. And my initial thought is always, if one of the oldest civilizations in the entire world, that one being China, if they spent time, hours, calories dedicated to purely separating the brown out stem of the rice from the actual white, why would we go back? Like, there was obviously a reason they did it. And from my understanding, the poor, they were the ones who kept the brown just because they couldn't like afford to actually separate it. That's my understanding of it. So in my mind, I'm thinking, why the hell would I have brown rice when I can just have white rice, which is quote unquote more superior if we're looking at back in the old days when China had very different socio-economic stages, where you could say they had a lot of poor people and then a lot of rich people. Rich people pretty much only had white rice. Poor, they had brown. I'm picking rich every time, baby. So we're going with this, and it just doesn't make sense to me why we would reverse engineer a process that a civilization that lasted billions of years, or not billions, but a long time, long story short. Why would we reverse engineer a process that they were doing just for a little bit more fiber, a little bit more protein? And mind you, I think brown rice tastes horrible. Chopping board, down, I need another milk container. And I'm quite literally just going to shred it to bits, look for any pink, and if I do see anything, then I might need to throw it back in the oven, but more often than not, and me being a seasoned pro at this, is fully cooked. And by the looks of it, it is. One of the questions I get very, very often is, why do I do MMA? Why do I fight? Why do I box? Why do I do jiu-jitsu? Why do I even indulge in martial arts? Like, to most people, it seems uncivil, it seems stupid, you're just giving yourself brain damage on purpose. Like, to most people, and I'm going to say it, the average person, it just seems like a stupid activity to get into, right? And these are the same people that say, let me drink a substance that's going to pretty much fuck my head over for the next few hours, that being alcohol, and go walk out in the street where anyone can access me, anyone can touch me, and go do whatever I want, and it's just going to hallucinate my entire reality for a few hours. Those exact same people ask me, why do I do martial arts? Because it seems stupid, right? Well, I'm someone who wants to be equipped with the right things when it comes to venturing further into life. I want to be financially stable, which is why I'm working on my business. I want to be in the best physical shape possible, so I'm ready for every single challenge that comes across me, which is why I train in the gym, why I want to get stronger, why I want to go for runs and get fitter. And then also there's the side of things where I understand the world isn't the nicest place in the world. I understand that there's some really bad people out there who have very nefarious thoughts every single day, and sometimes they want to protrude those thoughts onto other people, or for example, just straight up hurt them. Hello, hello? I'm just filming like a meal prep video. Good. But yeah, back to what I was saying. That is literally the main reason why I started doing martial arts, just because I understand if I'm in a situation where I'm not exactly safe, the best thing I can do is use my own body to either A, run out of that situation, which is why I run, just pick up the pace, gap it, or I need to just stand there and just take care of the situation myself, which is what physical altercations look like. And if I'm not able to physically do that by myself, then I need to use my own physical body. If I see someone running at me at 100 miles an hour, wanting to throw a punch, I would much rather know how to get out of the way, throw a punch back, or at least run the opposite way. I want to at least be able to do those two things. And imagine I'm in a situation where that exact thing happens. I have a guy run at me 100 miles an hour and throws a punch, and I don't have the 3 to 4 years of martial arts experience that I currently do have. I'm not able to roll under, weave out, sprint the other way. I'm not able to do that because I didn't put myself through the hardships and the challenges of turning up to the gym every single day, getting my ass beat until the point where I was actually able to hold my own ground. That is why I do martial arts. And honestly, that's me and my rant done. I've got my rice, which needs to finish up cooking, but I'm just going to save you guys the time for that one. And I've had a really good time filming this YouTube video. This is the first time that I've just sat down, done something, and just talked straight to the camera, let you guys know about my life, my thoughts, my insights, things that I've learned, things that have happened to me, things that I want to go do, whatever it may be. It's been interesting, and I can't wait to edit this video and then eventually send it out to all of you guys. So, again, much love. Thank you all for the support on the Instagram, and we're going to keep hustling, baby. That Gymshark membership is going to happen soon. Just watch. It's going to happen. Peace and subscribe.